So in the years since Donald Trump's third Supreme Court nominee was confirmed, just weeks before the 2020 election, there has been this big question hanging out there. Will they help him? And if so, when will they help him? Well, this week, the Supreme Court announced they were taking up Trump's absurd claim of presidential immunity. And in turn, they granted him the thing he covets the most: more time. Because when you're running for president to stay out of prison, you sure don't want it to stand trial before Election Day. And by taking up this case, the court has now raised the real prospect that he may not. I mean, for reasons that remain completely unclear, they will not even hear oral arguments until a full 7 weeks from now. So Trump's election interference trial, that at one point, by the way, was scheduled to start tomorrow, is now being punted months down the calendar. And yes, I know that the wheels of justice can move slowly. I have made this point myself many times. But guess what? The Supreme Court can move very quickly when it wants to. I'm going to give you a few examples. Let's take Bush v. Gore in 2000. The court decided the election in 3 days. And you don't need to look even that far back for more examples. This very court, same members of the court, this very year, moved quickly in a separate case related to Trump when he asked these same justices to take up the Colorado case regarding his ballot eligibility. They agreed 2 days later and scheduled arguments for the following month. That's downright speedy, if I do say so. And they had chances to move with the similar urgency here, even more so. They could have taken up this issue back in December, when Jack Smith urged them to consider his emergency appeal and keep the trial on schedule. But of course, they didn't. They waited until this week to announce they would take up the case, and they will wait until late April to even hear the oral arguments. They know exactly what this means for the trial schedule. They have a calendar, and they did it anyway. So the Supreme Court might claim they are not in the political business, but they just knowingly put the country in a position where people might not know if they are voting for a convicted criminal on Election Day. If that's not injecting yourself into politics, I'm not really sure what is. Now, we don't know for certain that there won't be a trial before November. There could be. There's a very real chance that we could still see one, and we'll talk about that today. At the same time, we are also facing a harsh but important reality that it's important to call out. We cannot bet on the justice system protecting us from the day one dictator. There is no magic wand, no mythical savior, no fanciful courtroom ending here. And yes, it is true that if Trump does not stand trial before this election for the crime of trying to overturn the last one because of a court that he helped shape with 3 members, then that would be one of the great miscarriages of justice in the history of our country. But there's another extremely important thing to remember here. We all know what he did. There's no doubt about the basic facts in any of these cases, really. Look, we watched the insurrection he incited in the U.S. Capitol unfold on television. We saw the photos of the boxes of classified documents in his bathroom. We heard the tape of him on the phone asking the Georgia Secretary of State to find him votes. Even Trump's claim of presidential immunity tells us that he has no interest in disputing the facts. That's not his argument. It's never been, I didn't do it. It's always been, I did it, and I was allowed to. That's his argument. So while the American people deserve trials before Election Day, of course they do, we shouldn't need them in any of these cases to know what he did and to know the danger he poses to democracy and to our rights. Look, there are the people who are always going to vote for him, convictions or no convictions. There's no question about that. The question now is about the rest of us. The rest of us know what happened. The rest of us know what he did. The rest of us see what the choice is between these 2 candidates. We could still get a trial before November, but we might not. Either way, voters will have to defend our country on Election Day. Casting a ballot will be the most powerful antidote to the threat of Donald Trump.